Time, ladies and gentlemen, to decide our final semi-finalist here in our Countdown Cup. This is, of course, the last of our quarterfinal matches we have to decide. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello, and we are bringing you the Los Angeles Valiant versus the Paris Eternal.
Yes, we kind of covered this towards the end of the last match when we were waiting for the interview, but this is a match that gets moved to the end of the day. Paris was having some power issues earlier, so wanted to give them the opportunity to obviously have the chance to play here in the Countdown Cup. So moves to the last match of the day. Fortunately, they're able to get their power back on, and we're going to get which should be a pretty exciting game.
Yeah, the Valiant, look, I would not say they had the smoothest of travels through the Countdown Cup qualifiers so far, but it finishes fairly smoothly, right? A dominant victory over the Houston Outlaws was on Friday, at least to get them here. So, they still prove that they are, a team that deserves to be in the conversation for a top roster, right? Like, they're definitely mixing it up with a lot of the heavy hitters. And bear in mind, this is a team that at the start of this season was quite fresh, quite new. But now we are quite familiar with this team, the Los Angeles Valiant, and these faces. It'll be Shax and KSP to start with, which we'll talk about later, that combination. But we've got Dreamer and McGravy, Lastro and Rain. The Valiant here, they don't have KSF, at least to begin the series.
Right. Yeah, KSF, you usually see him if they want to play some type of Genji setup. So maybe we see them play some Sombra here. Maybe we see just like Ashe with the Tracer in play. We'll get a bunch of different looks, I believe, from the Valiant throughout this series.
And of course, their opponents who have risen to world-class status in the Overwatch League over the last few months are the Paris Eternal. It'll be Soon and Nico, actually, to start off. So the French duo with DPS here. And then we'll obviously have the regulars in Ben Best, Harbin Fielder, and FD God.
Take a look at the map. Lijiang Tower, they typically have Soon and Nico in for Lijiang Tower. Control in general. They have both of them just have a large hero pools across both of them that can play a lot of different types of setups. We've seen them play
they do a Genji Sombra setup, right?
Genji Sombra. We've seen them play some Sim with Reaper. We've seen a lot of different looks from the Paris Eternal on this map.
Yeah, of course. So here's, I look at some of that Genji, that Sombra action. We saw that on multiple occasions that, Sparkle sits on the bench waiting to play Genji. Nico is also a very accomplished Genji player in his own right from sort of back in the day. It seems, though, as if they want Genji. It's definitely Sparkle that comes in for good reason. Sparkle looks to be one of the most explosive and exciting players in the league, and it's nice because that was what we were kind of promised before he came on in.
It helps, we get a Genji buff as soon as he comes in, right? That kind of helps him out a little bit. But soon on Sombra, we can talk a little bit about how he's performed on the hero, at least thus far in the season. You see the hack and elimination rate and EMP efficiency, both really high. Which you're not going to see Sombra's rack up tons of final blows, tons of damage. It's really about getting the damage, farming towards the EMPs and then getting EMPs and hacks that are worthwhile.
That is a fantastic stat to look at as well. How many hacks translate into eliminations?
Yeah.
It's the same with Sigma accretions. How many of those can cause, final blows to be picked up there? Soon leads the league in those. So when you see him go for those hacks, you know that more often than not, a hacked target is as good as dead in his hands. And that is a huge part of what allows the Paris Eternal to do so much. And, once they bring Sparkle in later maps, then he gets to show off a little bit. But, when it comes to control, when it comes to any Genji Tracer action, or Tracer, or Sombra, should I say, with the Tracer, that's where the Eternal look really good.
Well, in North America, where the Shock and Philly have kind of been consistent the entire year, Paris and Florida have kind of been your 3 and 4 up and down. And we've had some teams on the outside looking in, like Atlanta, sometimes in the 5th spot, or Houston. I think Dallas for a while, people were considering. We haven't seen any of those teams really materialize into real contenders for that top 4. So we'll see if maybe the Valiant can make a case for themselves today against Paris.
Right, and we do see that Control Center is our first map, so that is where we get a bit of Junkrat action. It's not just some sort of weird coincidence that both teams are looking this way. And Nico, one of the OG Ana spammers, one of the OG May spammers from sort of back when she was in vogue, especially during her height of strength, during ice fishing as well. That was a strong meta for her, and Symmetra for Shaxx. No huge surprise here either way.
Yeah, Shaxx will stay on Symmetra. So you have Ben Best on the Reinhardt. They want to use the Maywall to split players up, closes the gap. That's Soon with a mine right over the wall, and then finishes off KSP. Should be a big damage advantage now for the Paris Eternal.
It's mental how aggressive Soon goes there, and even crazier is that he gets away with it. Fielder deploys hastily, mind you, and Immortality Field to keep the Junkrat alive, and Soon can back away with the use of his own remote mine, and Hanbin just catches Rain by the ankles. The Hyperspheres bounce on the doorway.
I feel like for all we talk about with the Paris Eternal, I still feel like Hanbin doesn't get enough love. He's been so sick this year.
We give him MVP error.
I feel like we do, but then I still feel like all you see is like the highlights from Xe, Sparkle, you know, Soon, Ryan, and well deserved. But Hanbin's been a terrific player this year.
Oh, here's a Blizzard straight to the back line. Soon this time gets taken down. It's just a pot shot from KSP that actually yields him the kill. But without Dreamer, things get a little tough for the Valiant here if KSP doesn't keep applying pressure. Fortunately, that's not a problem. He rounds the backside and sends some grenades on in. Hanbin just trying to keep himself alive a little bit longer, keep this stall going. Somehow that accretion doesn't hit
maybe
KSP.
Winnable, as you get 2 kills coming out here for the Paris Eternal. They're still on contesting. That'll be Hanbin who takes out Shaxx. As KSP heal invests the tire. But is it enough? You just have your recent Junkrat here with some players coming off spawn. Sound barrier available for the Paris Eternal as well as Gravitic Flux.
Hanbin there just notice that he'll play this left side, make it hard for anyone to get in, and then just, again, be a thorn in the side. Play this off angle. He's a little low going for this Gravitic Flux here, and there's not a lot of healing for him when he's up in the air, but the sound barrier connects, and Hanbin is unkillable right now, and he's continuing to wreak havoc in the Valiant's lineup.
And that is a fight that should have been won by the Valiant. They had such a big advantage. Fielder had ended up, it was just Fielder, FD God, and Hanbin for a very long time. Fielder uses an Amp Matrix to keep all of them alive, and the Valiant just never get aggressive enough and push through to try and take out Hanbin and co. Hanbin goes right into the face of KSP, deals with him. So now you don't have a Junkrat, and look at all the ultimates that the Paris Eternal have here. You have a Shatter coming through the door, Amp Matrix as well. So this should be Paris Eternal putting away the first point.
Time is short for the Valiant here. Ben Best goes for the Shatter. Looks like he caught Shaxx with that one potentially. Ice Wall thrown up there just to try and protect the Valiant from the Amp Matrix, and Hanbin goes down to Lastro, but it's going to take a little bit more than that, and the Valiant look to be lacking the elbow grease to shift the Eternal off the point right now. The Doomfist switch from KSP is flashy, but ultimately doesn't yield any results, and now to be McGravian Dreamer coming from 2 different angles to try and stall out. The latter stays alive longer, but not by much, and now Lastro won't even get to touch the point.
So that'll be a first point win for the Paris Eternal, where you had opportunities, man, for the Valiant. But Paris just too strong. 3 players are able to keep that going, contest, and the Valiant never actually able to make the flip happen. Now, we'll see if we have any different types of compositions. It looks like Nico potentially on the Junkrat now for the Paris Eternal. They want to play, you could play Sim Junk here for the inside of this point. It'll be a little bit risky, but if you get point control first, it's winnable, right? So maybe you run the Lucio, you know, get out ahead, gets a point first, you're able to make Sim Junk work here. Or do we see Soon
switch? For Soon? No, he's definitely out with the
he'll
crew.
stay on it, yeah. Okay. I mean, this is all about point control, right? Ben Best can play up by that forward pillar if he wants, and you can just use him to swing, deter players from coming in. You have the Symmetra, the teleporter, obviously for mobility, but also the little turrets lined up. Shaxx will play Echo into this.
Yeah, I mean, the key, it gives you more control in the open area when he tries to flank the point itself. Also, focusing beam is pretty good against tanks, especially if they're low. Nice little sticky bomb. Shaxx! 1 health, somehow stays alive. That's wrong. That shouldn't happen. Somehow, though, he turns it around and gets rid of Hanbin. Nice healing provided to him there. I believe it was actually Lastro for a moment. Sent him a couple grenades, and the Valiant here. Maybe the comp just looks a little bit better up against this Sim Junk, as it looks like Nico gets limited value.
Yeah, you just work them down over time. They do a nice job of Shaxx putting pressure from the side angles, dynamites coming through from KSP. You got some extra, some extra damage. Wait, Flash rotating out both, yeah. And for a second, I thought it was going to be something they could have made into something else, but Hanbin really low. He'll fall. That'll be nice. A haul through the window. But you have to change off of that if you're the Paris Eternal. Do you stay on the Symmetra? The Symmetra gets you point, but what? Nico picks Shax out of the sky.
Bob knocked off course there. He doesn't actually really get sent at all where he was intended to go, and the Ice Wall from Nico protects the Eternal from most of that damage. Benbest down early to Lastra here. Nice job. They see that the Eternal tries to go up here and get aggressive, so they dump a bunch of damage into him with an Air Matrix in their face. And Dream is down. KSP doesn't have sightlines right now. Hummin's low. No kinetic grasp available for him, evidently. And Lastro is getting so many kills right now.
And they have to use a Transcendence. That was Benbest with a Reinhardt Shatter coming from spawn. Is he going to be able to even make it back, though? They're trying to work down his shield. Oh, no, not going to be able to make it back to the point. A lot of shield pressure plus a Dynamite finishes him off.
And the Valiant now move back in control. It'll be about even in terms of capture percentage so far. Paris Eternal go over to Soon on the Tracer. Nico's close to a Blizzard, so they've got a bit to work with here. Shax could just completely grief the Eternal, though, and copy a May and get his own Blizz in this next fight. Duplicates online.
You can get good value copying the May. You could do it with another Baptiste, Sigma as well. Paris will change. They'll soon play the McCree now. Still the same type of ideal. They still want to play close to the point. They want to play Brawly. This time, obviously, just the McCree in place of, let's say, the Symmetra.
Oh, the copied right hard is gross. Jack's trying to swing there. Gets a nice shatter. Lastro finds, by the way, his 8th final blow for this round so far, which is just ridiculous for Batiste in general. And the Valiant move back in there. Comp looks better, but the Eternal, yeah, okay, they head over the edge here. I mean, listen, McCree versus double shield's always going to be a little bit of a head scratcher for you there. I guess Soon's trying to just control Shax as well as he can.
So we have Dreamer going over to the ball. Is FD God still behind here? He'd probably be the one to touch.
All right, I mean, Wrecking Ball against Ryan here is, I mean, you feel unstoppable as the ball. Nothing Benbest can really do. Okay, there's going to be a Wrecking Ball here for the Eternal, but it's just Harmon to try and stall that a little longer here. And the Eternal get completely outgamed on composition on this round. They never really had the answer.
Oh, well, Paris comes out with a composition that makes a ton of sense. They want to be able to control the point. They want to play Brawly. They want to play around like the Symmetra and the May and the different chokes. Just really good adjustments from the LA Valiant. They see it, they come out, they know exactly what they want to do against it, and bringing out the Echo, they were able to... Echo can get in pretty quick. She can have some verticality, obviously, with her movement and put down a ton of damage. So Valiant able to make Echo work there. Paris, what do they go with here? Do they try and go with Symmetra May again, even though they lose? The May Reaper's like an old school type of setup for the Valiant, potentially.
I mean, you can play... I think you can play the Ashley if you wanted to. The Echo also is probably all right. But is it, what, Sim May for both sides here? This is odd. We have Ryan and Sigma here from the Paris Eternal. Benbest is always sort of preferred to play Ryan if he can, but doesn't feel great against the Orisa as you're trying to close the gap against the constant shield pressure you're suffering. I mean, hard to make anything out from that, but Paris Eternal looks like they find a couple big kills. FD God sets up the kill on Shax.
Yes, they run right through it. I think May Reaper was very strong against these, against like the compositions like this in the past. But when teams start to mix the Symmetra in, Symmetra just does so much damage against the barriers that you're able to ramp up that damage on the barriers and then take advantage of that against these tanks. Now you try and get away from that, right? You have the
classic Valiant.
Pharah Mercy in play. So no hit scan for the Paris Eternal, so really difficult to deal with this. Really, Fielder would be the one to do it. And then you get rid of one of the barriers, so denying Symmetra some charge.
I mean, Shax gets to walk in here and get a kill and then concussive blast him out pretty quickly. And he can cycle this every sort of 6 seconds or so, right? He feels great about that, especially with the Wrecking Ball Dreamer, making it really hard to stand behind Benbest's shield as it is. TP for Benbest comes forward, but KSP was right where he needed to be there, and he receives the Reinhardt gleefully. And I like the Eternal setup initially, right? FD God, really good at booping Valiant players out from behind that Orisa barrier. But Los Angeles completely mix it up. They're like, okay, well, Lastro's going to have to fend for himself, but the rest of us are just going to brawl you.
It's just really good adjustments. Oh, that is a nice shot there from Soon. It wasn't even really like the intended target, right? He wanted to get like the Pharah or the Mercy up in the sky. He'll get the res.
Maybe he wishes he got the Mercy now, Matthew.
Yeah, but maybe there's an opportunity to get into the point quickly here. Soon on the Tracer now.
I don't think that really forced any positioning whatsoever.
No.
Maybe it means that Shax doesn't get res. Maybe he's less frivolous about going for a barrage here. Okay, Accretion whizzes overhead. Lastro, yeah, can't be kept alive there. Nice pressure here from Soon to focus that support down, and Dreamer is very dead. Gurgler himself.
Yeah, very dead. He gets knocked off the side there. FD God, I believe, gets a few boops during that. So the early pickoff doesn't like force positioning to make them go back to the point, but it is enough to be able to take the point back. So it changes now for the Valiant. So this is really interesting gameplay because it's counters on counters every time a team comes back in a fight. So Shax will go over to Tracer. Oh, look, you'll take Shax and a Tracer matchup with just about anybody else, right? And then you will also have Rain play the Brig here. So even more counters to Soon's Tracer coming in.
Dreamer, okay, just wanted to get a minefield set up, which he does. Main wall's thrown up. This gives the Eternal some time to clear the mines before continuing the fight. Gravitic Flux there from Hanbin. Oh, the result is devastating when followed up by Benbest's Shatter. And that's what having the Rhine Sigma instead of the Orisa Sigma can offer you. Especially on maps where you don't have to cross a large gap with Reinhardt with the Orisa pelting you down. You can get more value out of a big impactful ultimate like that. I mean, you don't need a supercharger because you're not playing the Genji. And this is why Dreamer's going to switch here now to a Reinhardt.
Yes, this will be probably last chance for the LA Valiant to flip the point. No ultimates on either side. You may get a pulse bomb from Shax and a Bob from KSP. That's about it. Ooh, they split off the tanks.
Oh, FD! He tried to go for the boop, and the booper just got booped himself. Ah, it won't be like that sometimes, Dreamer. I mean, what do you do? It's the unstoppable force against someone who normally just knocks people off the edge. So kind of hard to stop a Reinhardt there, coming through like a freight train.
Oh, that reminds me of the picture that I think Zoe posted on Twitter the other day with like, should you charge as Rhine? It's like, are there people in front of you? Yes, charge. Are there people in front of you? No. Yes, still charge. Like,
the best part is, Dreamer isn't even the most aggressive Reinhardt on the Valiant. Gig has him pegged, I think, at that. Shax, he's like the Stork. He's delivering
I think
the baby,
they know one player.
Baby.
I think they know one player's still not here, though.
Sneaky, beaky, looking for the Reinhardt, sticks and gets out. Perfect execution. The Eternal now going to double down on their fire players, but they still want to try and go for the sound barrier. Dreamer, a charge on Harbin. He again goes for it, wants the title of most aggressive Ryan, but he'll settle for a team fight win for now.
Yeah, and they try and use that sound barrier to actually keep Benbest up, and they're still not able to do it. The sound barrier comes just as the pulse bomb's going off. Now they're going to be walking into a rally here from the Valiant and Lastro with an Ant Matrix. You lose Soon at range as well. This is horrible for the Paris Eternal.
It's too slow! KSP finds himself 3 quick kills in the Eternal. I mean, they were too shell-shocked to even remember that there was a point on this map. Absolutely frightening. And now, was that a dynamite kill? I mean, they all came up right at the same time.
It didn't look like a dynamite kill.
I mean, Ash doesn't have penetration, so you can't headshot 3 people at once. Maybe it was just 3 quick kills to the Ant Matrix after
everybody lined up. Yeah, we'd have to see a replay of it, but dynamite ticks would result in it coming up in the kill feed. Those are all just shots straight through the Ant Matrix as the Valiant, they steal map number 1. I'm really impressed with the adjustments on the fly in terms of compositions and counters there from the LA Valiant.
Lastro has 10 final blows over the course of that map. The same amount as Shax does.
Yeah.
He almost has as much, well, at one point he almost has as much damage as him. That's quite insane to me. The Valiant, I mean, they showed that they were incredibly flexible over like a bunch of different styles. I love the Wrecking Ball. I love that you can mix that in and get value from it. I really don't feel like Benbest is a player that prefers that, right? I think he loves pairing his Reinhardt up with, a Sigma and just getting big shatters and creating a lot of space. But when you have a Wrecking Ball and you can switch to something completely wacky, like Pharah has to be one of the least played DPS in the Overwatch League right now. And the fact that you can come out with Pharah Mercy and you can get some action, that's very impressive.
I gotta say, you gotta be scared of the Paris Eternal because they looked much like the old Valiant, the Valiant you were scared of there in map number 1. I think we'll definitely know how where the Paris Eternal kind of stand in this type of matchup once we see if Xe and Spark will come in.
Absolutely. And again, our next map before we go to break will be King's Row. So we'll probably see that both teams have to mirror double shield. So Wrecking Ball will be harder to play. Less environmental kill potential, yada, yada. But we'll see exactly what strategy these teams go for as we return in a moment for map number 2. King's Row is coming up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, in a turn of events that may be a little bit unexpected for most people, map number 1 gets swung in the Los Angeles Valiant's favor off the back.
Yeah.
First of all, of like just willingness to use some different compositions that play to their strengths, and 2, they fired off. I mean, the Ashe, when we started to see that towards the end, looked really, really good.
I think it's also really good scouting from the LA Valiant. You've seen that the Paris Eternal have come out and run Soon and Nico on a lot of different stuff on Lijiang Tower specifically. So to see that come up, they have a lot of different strategies to game plan against it, as opposed to just trying to fight it. Whether with a more standard composition, they have strategies that are actually tailored to what Paris is trying to do.
And now for the Valiant, they will make a substitution of their own. They bring KSF in for Shax, who had a very solid Tracer performance, I think, on that last map, and got to show off a little bit of the Echo, which really did some work on Night Market. So the Valiant showing a lot of depth right now in a meta where teams look like they're pretty reluctant to switch off of double shield with Genji and Ashe on some maps. Of course, Control a little bit different.
Right.
We even got to see Junkrat, Symmetra mix here. You should expect, as a viewer, to see the composition standardized a little bit more now over the next couple of maps, especially given that King's Row is the gold standard for strategy in the league right now.
This tells you that they're going to play some kind of like Ashe Genji type of composition. You can't really make Tracer work that much on King's Row because there's so much verticality. Then even like really close alleyways and whatnot where Discords just fired from like a Sigma really kind of deters any type of flanks from a Tracer, at least in this meta. So that's why you bring in KSF here.
Now obviously there's a substitution for the Paris Eternal as Xe comes in here. And so does Sparkle. So wholesale DPS
Same
changes.
reason, yep.
And I think was it KSF? KSP types in chat. He's asking Xe if he's going to be playing McCree this game. Actually, no response. He's locked in, dialed in, ready to deliver.
Yeah, no reason for Exy to get into the banter war.
It's nice to be reminded, just how British KSP is sometimes.
So it'll be the Valiant starting out on defense. Most likely double shield, Ashe, Genji in play. KSF on the 76 right now. That would be a shock. As I think you're kind of looking through the hit scan, 76 down near the bottom. As yep, that Genji's in play. Paris, what do they want to do? They could run something like the shock, like they could run like a rushed composition with Ben Best on the Rhine. And get him in there with FD God on the Lucio. I think FD God probably prefers to play the Lucio. I don't know if it's like your ideal comp though, like if it's the go-to here.
We'll see what the... I don't know if we'll actually see this from Paris at all. I think it'd be interesting actually seeing the Moira Lucio on point. Maybe they're just trying to overwhelm and take them by surprise. Actually definitely intends to at least throw down a teleporter here. And it will be the May for Sparkle. Okay, so then maybe they want to just set up this Widow, obviously make it a little bit harder for the Valiant to push out and take that space.
Look at this, though. They're going to rotate to the left-hand side, which is going to force the Valiant into the line of sight here of Exy.
Yeah, it's a mini Great Bamboozle, I think, is what we're seeing here. The Widow actually not finding the kills. This Bembest swing with Reinhardt gets rid of Rain. In a longer fight, though, yeah, it gets a little bit tough for the Eternal to sort of hang here, and no Widow value so far. Sparkle finds 2 bizarre kills there as May, and
I like the strat idea. Yeah, I like the idea.
But this has existed for a long time. That kind of idea of forcing a defending team out into a Widowmaker's LOS.
They're going to try and do it again.
Well, actually just gets a tighter angle now. Gets to play a little bit closer. Keeps KSP honest. Oh dear, that Sigma, yeah. Oh, okay.
Ooh, they boot McGrady off, yeah.
Yeah, and the accretion goes wide. It could have been Exy just straight up dead there. Now the blade comes in. I don't know what you do against a May. Not much by the looks of things here. KSF dies to a fire strike. Benbest turns around. 180 fire strikes to Genji during blade, and oh man, the Valiant get absolutely trounced.
It was just a matter of time. Once the Paris Eternal forced them into that type of position, it was just a matter of time before the Valiant crumbled. That's why we see teams play the Widowmaker on point A. And we'll see if Exy stays on it. If KSF doesn't make him pay for it, you can keep running this Widowmaker.
See how this all went down for Benbest. Turn. What a chat. Ooh. What an absolute man mountain. What a mammoth of a human.
He saw
the forward up.
He saw the super main tank difference montage earlier in the day, and he became, well, maybe he didn't see it. They didn't have power, but if he goes back and watches it, he'll feel inspired.
To be playing video games, man.
Yeah. All right, so Matrix plus Gravitic Flux here from the Valiant.
Well, it's kind of a non-bow, really.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Blizzard, though. That's even nastier. The Valiant sort of came forward after the Maywall got deployed. Still not able to capitalize on the Blizzard at all, so both teams kind of flubbed some ultimates here. Benbest tries to shatter, come forward, and ooh.
And everybody throwing everything into that. I assume that you're going to see the Paris Eternal potentially switch.
Get off his Lucio, maybe?
I was going to say that's a fight that screams like wholesale changes, right? Like Ashe, Genji, bring everybody into the mix. But they're going to continue to run this. So a rush with the May, and then now you have Exy playing Ashe.
All right, again, you see, Benbest is dealing with an Orisa here, so he wants to break line of sight as long as he can. Doesn't want his shield to get too low. Already, it's super low. Nice Maywall, though. There's no escape for the Valiant as they push up here, and it sets up potential pins for Benbest if he can connect them. Lastro, trying to frag out as he has been over the course of this series, just has to drop and try and stall the card here, and Coalescence pays off for Fielder.
Yeah, it's a different look from the Paris Eternal. And I will say it is quite odd knowing how good Sparkle is at Genji to see them commit to him playing like the May and this type of rush. But this does put Benpest on the Reinhardt, right? Where we see him at his strongest. King's Row is definitely a map you can do this like we saw the Shock do earlier. That'll be checkpoint B taken for the Paris Eternal.
Now, I want to see what... Look at Benbest. He has to be so creative here to try and find a way to get close to Orisa without having to walk out of the cross.
What is this?
Look, he's about to come in swing here. I mean, it's a flanking Reinhardt. This is gross.
It's the evolution of Reinhardt.
Yeah, it's cloudy Reinhardt is what it is. European players, I mean, I don't know what it is. FD got down, and KSS having to dash through here, so that flanking play, Paris doesn't quite work out. They have a lot to work with still for the next fight, though. Cole, Blizzard, Bob.
You do, but you're going to have Rally, plus Bob, plus Supercharger, and the Blade on the other side. I think having the Orisa, obviously Orisa just combos great with Halt and everybody else, but also I think Supercharger in this type of battle is just way more impactful than like a Shatter would be.
Benbest's health bar dropped to 0 almost instantly as he leapt into the fray. Somehow kept alive by the Coalescence, but eventually that turned out to be insufficient. Blizzard's there, Rain doesn't really seem to mind. I guess he's just going to relax, and FD God, again, if there's an opportunity to find a environmental kill, he'll usually take it. And the Paris want to double it down again. The Eternals really want to try and get in with a sound barrier here. Rain, I mean, it took so much to get rid of the Brig, but they eventually find a way forward here. FD God trying to make it so KSF and Co wouldn't be able to escape with a boot back towards the rest of their team.
I mean, FD God just hunts KSF down. I mean, he is not bothered by him at all. Sparkle on the Doomfist now. And you're getting close to the map completion here for Paris. The Valiant have a ton of ultimates if they can just get out of the spawn. And, yeah, they're not able to get on the cart. So you were holding on to Blade Supercharger for so long for the Valiant. Never got an opportunity to even use them at the end.
Well, I think McGravy, I don't know if McGravy was the one that was designated to touch there, but he actually used his gravitic flux, and he sort of ended up, instead of going straight to the card, he's sort of flying up in the air a little bit. Wasn't able to touch that in time. And the Paris Eternal, their composition, when it worked, it looked really good, right? They were able to sort of just to barrel straight through and win some of these fights, but at times it looked really risky, or maybe, you know, well, it just didn't look nearly as safe, I guess, on a couple of occasions. Benbest has a tough job playing this role as Reinhardt. Like, if you're playing Orisa and you see a Ryan walking at you from a long distance, I mean, you're very happy about that. You just click his rectangle and make it go away, and then Reinhardt stands there and just gets blown up. So Paris have to play it differently, right? Like, this is why like that kind of crazy Reinhardt against double shield style was coined by Cloudy, because he never came from angles you expected him to. He always played right in your face, because Reinhardt against Orisa wants to step past her shield.
And the only way you can do it, really, for extended periods is when you're playing like Lucio Moira, right? You need the ton of healing from the
speed.
The speed, right? You need the ton of healing from the Moira, like close range, like
I mean, you can do it without the speed, but you really want the Lucio as well, just to kind of nullify the Orisa by booping other frontliners past her shield.
It feels pretty brutal without the speed.
But the whole game feels brutal without the speed. You try walking down spawn without speed boost, it's awful.
Well, I think the speed also comes into play when the other team can't disengage with speed, right? You can hunt them down way faster. So,
in an ideal world, like, you don't think about disengaging when you sort of look at your comp, right? Because if you're disengaging, your plan has already failed. But it's more of like a, I guess it's just a side effect of that. Lastro gets picked up early. Sparkle punished for that, though. Nice work. The Valiant sort of stick together, and Sparkle tries to dash through them and gets hit with a whip shot on the way through.
He stayed for way too long.
I think he thought he could just finesse them, right? Dash through them and get to safety.
Discord Orb right on a Dreamer, and he gets taken out instantly. As the Paris Eternal, although it's looked a little sloppy here, they've done just a great job of controlling the high ground. I mean, it's exactly what you want to do.
Nicely done there by McGravy. He knows that obviously the accretion can't be deflected. He has a trump card against Genji at all times if Genji doesn't have a dash available. Still, the Eternal, though, is able to salvage this now. They'll move to the high ground, and Dreamer won't have any choice but to back off eventually.
You just have to have one person contest. You see Sparkle just jump on, fire at the shield. You have to use Immortality Field really early here for the Valiant.
So the Valiant now are 15 seconds away from another viable push. Have to wait for the drone to come back.
Bleed in the clock. And they have no like Transcendence to deal with this Blade that'll come through. Which is wild that Sparkle's like the only one playing on the ground. He's gonna go with a Blade as they try and go in towards the hotel. That was a little aggressive.
Sparkle is nuts. I mean, the fact that you think that's gonna work means you have so much confidence in yourself. There wasn't anything to back up the Blade as well. I mean, there wasn't a Supercharger. That's mental.
That's wild. I mean, we've seen him do it before, but
He's just a psycho, though.
That one, I think, was just stretching the limits a little bit.
Maybe he's used to playing with a Reinhardt and not getting any backup for his blades, right? Like, Sparkwise are harder the most because Ben Best generally prefers to play Reinhardt when he can, right? Now Ben Best is on the Orisa, so there is a world where you're going to have a supercharger available for your play.
I like this. The Valiant, they push out, they use Amp Matrix here, try and get some pickoffs or at least some ultimates out. But look at this. Sparkle already up to 70% on another blade, as it was just Amp Matrix used there by FD God. They're able to win it.
And the Bob was there as well. So I feel like if you can stop, if you can avert a snowball at the cost of only 2 ultimates, you're so pleased about that, especially when you have a support ultimate in the back pocket for their next fight and your opponent's only sort of working with that rally. I mean, let's see what KSF can do. I mean, can he even blade viably without supercharger in play?
So you can rally and blade, but then they have Transcendence on the other side very shortly. So
Flux from both sides. KSF doesn't draw the blade yet. He's waiting on that one. Hanbin shielded up with the kinetic grasp. Bob goes in. What's Bob looking at? I don't know. Sleeping on the job, perhaps. So here's the blade from Sparkle. Again, no supercharger required. He just goes in. And maybe KSF gets punished for holding his, waiting for the Orisa ultimate.
Well, you have Transcendence plus blade there to use, right? I mean, that's why you end up doing that. I actually think KSF's probably wise holding on to it. Ooh, he's trying to get this kill so badly on Alastro. What is kind of unfortunate there for the Valiant is that they end up using the Gravitic Flux when Fielder's at like 95% to Transcendence. If he had Transcendence there, he may feel inclined to use it. Then the Blade would have came through, but they're able to just block the Transcendence with the Immortality Field.
Here's that Blade. Sends Supercharger. There's also an Immortality Field in KSF's waiting. Oh, he gets
nice
the kill
deflect.
from a deflect, and
Really
then he turns up. It's crazy what he can do with one dash reset in these fights as Genji.
Really nice play there from KSF. Really, it's so interesting. We don't really talk about Dragon Blades that much from the standpoint of the technical side of things and how difficult it is sometimes to be able to track some of these targets because you're kind of moving so fast. But does an excellent job tracking down some of those players. Now with the Valiant, you're going to have to win one more fight here.
KSF, I mean, the Valiant definitely have themselves a Genji. Can't be denying that, but pop! Dreamer's head goes like a balloon. An amplification matrix used, and that's pretty cheap. You win a fight with one ultimate. I think you're very pleased about that one. The Valiant will sort of return with a questionable series of ultimates to use and a long walk back to the car.
Well, they'll have Flux Bob with a rally in play.
Yes, the old Flux Bob rally, the classic.
Well, you work with what you got, right? Maybe we probably see the same type of scenario we saw earlier where both teams use their Flux at the same time.
Yeah.
Combo with a halt. You'll see the Immortality come out from both of them, but the rally could be big on the backside of that.
And maybe Bob looks better without Immortality Field available for the defending team. Well, here he comes.
Early bot from KSP.
Oh! FD God lost his Immortality Field already! This Gravitic Flux could be quite nasty! McGravy goes for it there, brings a bunch of the Eternal down, who are rapidly healed up, and Hanbin gets rid of KSP there. That's big. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far in the fight. Don't be fooled by Bob in the kill feed. And still the Eternal able to push up. Man, I would love a dissection of that team fight. That is bizarre.
From the point of view we were watching it from, it didn't look like McGravy got much of anything with the Gravitic Flux. They end up getting the Immortality Field out early, but it didn't look like his Gravitic Flux hit much of anything, where Hanbin was able to get a double with it. And that's really what separates that fight. The Transcendence at the end just puts Paris over the top. Now you're in trouble if you're the Valiant. No support ultimate, Supercharger, Blade, Bob, Amp Matrix here for the Paris Eternal, as they look like they're going to be able to easily get a 0.2 hold.
Bob goes in, McGravy gets minced, and the entirety of the Paris Eternal turn their sights on the stragglers here for the Valiant. That's KSP trying to head for the hills. He knows that if he wants any chance of touching that card, he probably needs to set off now, but last time I checked, Ash didn't have rocket boosters, so there's not much chance of a touch there at all. The Paris Eternal slow it down and stop the Valiant in their tracks. In fairness, fairly back and forth stuff on King's Row thus far though, Matthew. I feel like that, a little bit of messiness here, but the Eternal definitely look more confident when they're playing with less ultimates.
I would say so, and I think the one of like the hallmarks of like a great team is like winning fights when you're down in terms of ultimates, and we saw the Paris Eternal do that numerous times there on King's Row. So after a map one where they lose, where they have Sunaniko in, where we saw lots of good counter compositions from the Valiant, you see as we move on to a different game mode, like Hybrid, you're not able to do that as much, right? You play way more standard types of compositions on game modes outside of Control. So can the Valiant find another win somewhere here in one of these next maps to potentially force a Game 5? I think that would be interesting to see if we can get them, if they can get back to Control.
Yeah, I mean, and something I'd love to hear from our crew at the halftime is, where the strengths of the Valiant lie, and actually where they get to apply those. I think, it's the differences between these teams and not the similarities that are going to give the Valiant the edge. And we're going to hear about that in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. So sit back, relax, and indulge, I guess, in the dulcet tones of our expert desk as they break everything down. At our game break after that, we'll be back for map number 3.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. Welcome to our game break presented by Cheesy Grooves. Zoe Costa and Reinforce here to, talk about all the action. Once more dissecting everything and, of course, analyze everything which just went down between the LA Valiant as well as the Paris Eternal. It's currently 1 apiece, so let's dive straight in there. Lijiang Tower was the first map, and of course, I have to get your thoughts here, Reinforce, because you were actually quite impressed with how the Valiant managed to
adapt throughout the entirety of that map.
Yeah, I mean, the big talking point for the Los Angeles Valiant has been that they usually were the double hit scan team throughout the season with KSP and Shax doing most of the work for this team. But as of recent, they've shown us a lot of different looks, and it's just so impressive to see them come into Lijiang Tower this time around and really just dismantle this Paris Eternal Brawl composition that is so very scary. So, I mean, it started off with the Junkrat and the May from the Paris Eternal, and Ben Bess is just fragging on this Reinhardt, just doing whatever he wants. But then we head over to Night Market and we see Shax flex to the Echo, and we're like, what's going on here? And I mean, obviously the Los Angeles Valiant, they have to retort to this sort of brawl, not brawl composition, but this Chengdu-like composition with the Wrecking Ball and the Echo. And then you also see, of course, Dreamer was on a Wrecking Ball to just try to dismantle the Paris Eternal and just try to pick them apart, because the Paris Eternal, they're playing as a big group together, right? They just want to go as a clump and they just want to charge into you and then just come at you like a Wrecking Ball, ironically enough. But then the actual Wrecking Ball, the hamster Wrecking Ball, just comes and just disrupts everything that is going on, and then you see Shax coming on the far, you see an Echo in the sky. So I was really impressed by the Valiant, how they're just able to pick apart the Paris Eternal that is so very scary on Lijiang Tower. I mean, this was the first time that the Paris Eternal actually lost Lijiang Tower this season. So that just speaks to this achievement of the Los Angeles Valiant. So this is one of our content editors on the Overwatch League website tweeting out as well that this was the first loss for Paris on Lijiang all season. So an incredible achievement by the Los Angeles Valiant to kick off this series, and really just sets us up for a really good series down the line.
My issue becomes, I completely agree with everything that Johnny says, right? And then we go into Kings Row, and that becomes a really hard map for the Los Angeles Valiant to win. Yeah. And I think this sort of is an indicator for what to expect throughout this series of, I think if they have to play toe-to-toe in like a double shield Genji style, I don't think the Valiant are any match for the Paris Eternal. And that's why I hope moving forward that they're going to stick towards their more chaotic energy style of Chengdu that we saw from them in Map 1. Because in Map 2, it would just... It wasn't about ultimate efficiency for the Los Angeles Valiant that lost it. It was ult effectiveness. I feel like every time the Paris Eternal is using an ultimate, they're getting value out of it. And both teams are using their ultimates how they should be done, except Valiant can't convert it to fight wins, while the Paris Eternal are making every ultimate count. And I think that's what makes them one of the best teams in this league right now, is they are just so good with everything that they do. So I'm hoping to see the Valiant sort of pivot how they want to play the game and adapt, because that's what I've been praising them for so much as of late.
Now in Crunch Time presented by Cheesy Grooves, we have I don't even know how to set this up, to be perfectly honest. It's just like, what if the boop gets booped? I don't know. Costa, walk us through it.
We're going into the ultimate place where FD God has had so many victims on Lijiang Tower. This is probably one of the reasons that Paris have never lost Lijiang Tower this season, because he always sits in this spot. This is the favorite place for any Lucio. It's very easy to get highly effective boops without being punished. Dreamer, though, says no. So he actually is in the worst place ever to get booped, and FD God's coming for him, but he pins at the perfect moment. He actually kills somebody with his pin, and he pushes FD God as FD God's going for this boop. You can see him on the left here, and kills him as well. So that's the ultimate feeling as a Reinhardt. The booper gets booped, or whatever that is. FD God gets a taste of his own medicine. So it was hilarious to see.
The best charge kills are the unintentional ones. And I mean, I'm sorry.
Do you sell them as intentional
Dreamer, but that was just completely unintentional. I mean, Dreamer isn't in this case, right? Okay, when I do 180 pins on tracers and they're like, I just completely dominate them. Of course, I'm going to say that that is pure skill. But I mean, in this case, Dreamer, I don't think you have a real case to say that that was intentional to boop FD God off. And ironically enough, that charge alone and the team fight actually was what kept Valiant alive on Lijiang Tower, and they ended up winning the map off of that play. So, I mean, it doesn't get any crunchier than that. Epic play in an epic moment that actually won the map for the Valiant. So, praise the Reinhardts.
Absolutely.
Players are incredible.
It was cracked and it was crunchy, and that's why I made it into Crunch Time presented by Cheesy Grooves. Now, we are about to head on to our third map, which is going to be Volskaya. We do have some substitutions for the Valiant. KSF will be out and Shax is coming back in. And also, Ben Best will be swapped out for No Smite. So very, very quick last thoughts. Costa, what do you expect to see from either of those teams?
I like to see that. It makes me think that they're going to be playing more this chaotic style that we were talking about. And No Smite coming in makes me think that Paris is just not going to play Reinhardt. So pretty much the same. I really hope that Valiant comes in with something special and something unique.
Well, let's see who can edge it out here. It's still 1-1 between the Valiant and the Paris Eternal in the quarterfinals of our Countdown Cup. So stick around as we're heading right back into the action.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Welcome back after the halftime break, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Los Angeles Valiant versus the Paris Eternal. And the former team, the Valiant, getting a lot of praise from our desk at halftime, especially as we now know, handing Paris their first loss on Lijiang Tower for the season is no mean feat.
Yeah, it's not. But I agree with Scott, is that I don't think that they can replicate how they got that first map win on another map. If they do, the series completely kind of flips on its head, right? Because then you have another control map. That's something where the Valiant can do. I think they do need to lean into, I think Johnny put it, lean into their kind of Chengdu side a bit, rather than kind of go toe-to-toe in terms of matching compositions.
That may be the case. You know, as we saw in that previous map over Kings Row, they tried to play what we'd consider a fairly standard composition, right? Both teams tried a little bit of action with the May. It looks as if both rosters feel more comfortable flexing over in that direction. I would say Sparkle looked incredibly aggressive on Paris. He made a lot of risky plays on that Genji. It did cause them to get caught out a couple of times. Losing that Genji first is so dangerous if you're a defending team.
They're still able to win those fights, though.
Yep.
Even when they lose Sparkle at the beginning, with Hanbin and Nexi and I know FD God going crazy on like Lucio all over the place, they're still able to win. I think that's why they can have Sparkle play that aggressive in all different types of scenarios.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw even glimpses of Widowmaker there, maybe. But Exi and Sparkle obviously give the team, the Eternal, quite a few options when it comes to, combination of hit scan and sort of projectile-based heroes. Los Angeles look good. I think over the course of the series, we've been really impressed by Alastro.
Right.
Also, we saw, was it KSP play Genji, previously, and honestly, it looked alright from the Valiant. He had a very decent map.
Yeah, KSF. They're only separated by one letter. That happens. KSF playing the Genji on King's Row had a few good moments with the Blade. We did have subs come in, so we should talk about those as we get into the next map. So Shax will come in for the LA Valiant. You can play Shax on Tracer. We saw him play some Echo, some Pharah, and map number 1. Gives them some different looks, different options. They'll combo him with KSP. So KSP always usually in terms of like Ashe Widowmaker play. Paris Eternal, they don't make a change in terms of DPS. They make a change at main tank. So No Smite comes in for Ben Best. This tells me they want to play the Winston with the Zarya. It's a comp that we see that's pretty prevalent in the APAC region. Yep. We've seen it a bit in NA. But that tells me this is exactly what they want to do here. They can run it on offense. You can run it on defense as well.
I really like it on defense, actually, like as a part of that sort of more defensive dive setup. It makes it, your Winston just a little bit more durable and more able to shrug off a lot of the CC that usually gets leveled at him, right? Lets Paris sort of sit No Smite fairly close to, these chokes and then jump away if he has to. A ton of teams have had success playing this Winston against like an Orisa Sigma kind of setup here. So this should be a lot of fun to see this major point of difference between these compositions come to life.
So we'll see Paris with the Winston on defense. If No Smite goes in...
my, that's brutal.
I was going to say, I was like, maybe Fielder can hit a biotic grenade from behind when the Winston dives in, so the Winston gets the healing effects and the Valiant get the anti-healing. It doesn't even matter, though. Shax coming through the staircase on the left. Gets hit with a sleep dart, taken out instantly.
Good opener for Paris here. Lets them solidify a bit more, but they lose No Smite there. Hanbin not able to keep him alive.
Yeah, Mitch, he wanted to get aggressive there because it was a 4-player biotic grenade that's hit from Fielder. I tried to capitalize on it when everybody was in that close quarter area, but Immortality Field keeps everybody up.
Yeah, now this defense takes on a completely different tone. The Paris Eternal can't really even fight. They're waiting, I guess, for No Smite to sort of return. Hope to find some poke damage here with Dynamites and stuff, but they're going to get run over now.
Yeah, this is the right call for the Valiant. I was going to say, if they allowed them to stay around a little bit, you were getting dangerously close to Sparkle having a Nano Blade, where you could have had him come in, go crazy. You needed to push on forward. The Valiant to realize that they do it, and they'll be able to take point A.
The Valiant are able to exploit one of the key weaknesses of this Paris Eternal composition. It's also the one that they seek to try and shore up as much as possible. It's the Winston. Get No Smite caught out of position or break that Zarya bubble early on, and then the Eternal have nothing. They don't really have any mobility from their tank. They have no sort of dive initiation. Now they're going to set up with the Nano Blade here, so it should be an easy win for them, and Sparkle just ruins the Valiant.
Yep, nothing you can do about that. Sparkle comes through with a Nano Blade. The Winston jumps in on you. You have no support ult that you can use to like sustain. Not surprised that is a loss of a team fight in the slightest. I think the Valiant do as well. They don't pop anything else. Everybody kind of stay home in terms of ultimates. The bad part is do you have another one of those fights coming up as well as Hanbin's getting close to a grab?
I mean, this is what Paris want, though. They can ration their ultimates in sort of pairs. That's going to really start to burn clock now, as the Valiant still have a good 4.5 minutes to work with. So No Smite takes the back door. Oh, all of a sudden, Giant Monkey in your backline. Well, now you're not standing in your Immortality Field anymore, but Field is not standing on the battlefield. He's taken down by a big pulse bomb, and Bob is getting value.
Oh, no. We have to get a replay of that. I am pretty sure what we just saw there was No Smite primal the Bob onto the point. Which results in KSP's Bob getting like 2 or 3 players there. As if that's the case, because it looks like the Bob was sent in almost like directly at No Smite, and like the Arisa's in the line of sight as well, like where Dreamer was, and he got pushed forward.
I think a lot of those kills had the Batiste listed as being assists as well, so it's unclear whether that was Batiste assisting Ash's damage and then was the Bob to actually find the kill, because all that damage is attributed to Ash if it's through an Ant Matrix, just Batiste. But if it's the Bob actually doing it, I mean, I don't know. We might see it at some point. Either way.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so this composition, the setup, this Winston setup for Paris, if one piece of this puzzle falls out...
Oh, no, the Bob does make it to the point just on his own, yeah.
I mean, he's just mowing him down.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Bob
so
just makes it straight there, yeah.
It was KSP getting damage boosted by an Ant Matrix elsewhere, I believe, or it was Lastro just
and then he was able to heal. He was healing Bob like crazy. You saw it from the corner there. Lastro was just kind of supporting Bob, keeping him up. Bob was popping off on the point. Yeah, for a second it looked like, at least from the point of view we were watching from No Smite, that he had knocked the Bob to the point, but he just kind of like ran through straight away. Maybe we'll see Exi come out of the spawn, just spot check, see what they're running, and then decide if he wants to run the Sombra. Looks like, though, they're going to commit to the Sombra Genji dive here. A good time set by the Valiant, by the way. I know we're kind of talking a lot about the Bob at the end and everything that happened, but 4 minutes and 14 plus is fantastic.
You're absolutely over the moon with that. I mean, you really picked apart Paris' composition, and you're playing something I think you're very comfortable with right now. See, Paris go in here. Exi gets that early hack onto McGravy, but again, No Smite just gets blown up.
I would say as well, with Paris playing this composition and having No Smite in, this makes the Tracer pick more viable from the Valiant, because everybody's playing so split, right? You're playing dive, you're coming from different angles. This allows Shaxx to take some one-on-one, so you can 1v1 against the Sombra, the Genji, etc. It's not as difficult as like they're playing a Rissa Sigma with a Brigitte, and you have to go into that combination to get a kill.
Yeah, Shaxx can be more aggressive if he wants to, but right now he doesn't really have to. Maybe he needs to step it up now as Sparkle's able to get rid of their main tank. Paris break through here, and then Winston Comp's always going to allow them to sort of bridge the gap. I feel like it puts extra pressure on Shaxx, right? If his team's getting dove, he is expected to do more, even though like there's going to be less CC aimed at him.
Yes, it'll be a fast point A take for the Paris Eternal. They lose a fight early, and then they come back, win the next one. What'll be scary for the Valiant is a Nano Blade EMP combo coming up here. KSP's got a... I mean, what's your best case scenario? KSP doesn't get hit by it. Bob's the point. McGravy now in on the Diva.
Who does Exi go for, though? Do you reckon he tries to hit the high ground primarily with the EMP? Or Sparkle
the Bob goes out straight away.
Okay, shield bashes in. Sparkle's not in a great spot. The Bob gets EMP. So Bob's turned off for now. Sparkle only gets one kill.
What was that?
That was an atrocious fight for Paris.
That could have been way better for the Paris Eternal. No Smite ends up using Primal out of this. Man, that is a blown opportunity for Paris. No big support ultimate on the other side. They really just use Bob. And a Nano Blade EMP gets nothing. I mean, even when you EMP right there, you connect to it like 1-2 players in the Bob. The Bob is still on the point contesting, so you're not even in a position to get rid of the Bob and make any progress. That was really odd there from Paris. I mean, that is a fight when you have those ultimates. You should be able to navigate them to a fight win.
I don't think Paris knew where the Valiant players were, Matt. I think Sparkle goes up with a blade looking for KSP and then settles for a brig. Like, that is not what someone who knows where the Ash is probably going to do, I'd say. So no scouting maybe early on. That was just a real downrange Graviton search here from Hanbin, and Sparkle's there ready to capitalize. There's a supercharger in play, and that Batiste is extra lethal currently. Dreamer will have to back away from his own bubble now as well, and eventually he gets run down. There are a couple players you see of Valiant on the periphery here. None know with the durability to contest this point. It'll have to be the mobility of Shax to give him a touch.
And McGravy's still around. He's up on the high ground. He's got a Diva Bomb. He's just waiting there, potentially to be the last one to kind of contest. But Paris, the Valiant come out of the spawn, forcing Paris all the way back. Paris getting close to that combo yet again. Blade online, Nano online, EMP you can get basically instantly. The advantage is you also have Diva here. I mean, you could use the self-destruct on the point, right? To deter them from getting onto it, making any progress. We'll see if they get a better use of it this time. You see they just put Dreamer on the point. They're just baiting Dreamer out here to be the target.
All right, well, in goes No Smite. His bubble, not looking much better than Harmbin's right now. Self-destruct over the top here. Sparkle, okay, so he finds Shax. He has to double back to McGravy though. Now, obviously, again, not as impressive a Blade as you maybe would hope, but they get rid of two key players, right? It's the Tracer and the Batiste out of the mix, both offer very different things, but now Dreamer has much less protection. There's much less you can do if the enemy team is sort of focusing your Orisa down, and you've got your second tick. Shax finds Fielder there with the Pulse Bomb, but it doesn't look like KSP's been able to do too much from that angle at the top right of screen. Now the Primal comes in from No Smite, and Paris make it even harder for the Valiant to contest.
Yeah, it's the Valiant just kind of trickling out onto the point. Dreamer switches to Winston, tries to jump over the top. Not able to contest in time, but still 2 minutes only for the Paris Eternal on their clock to 4 minutes of the Valiant. So I was talking about the Valiant needed to find a map they can win to get back to control, right? Where they can maybe pull out some of those strategies. This could very well be it. And I think the Paris Eternal, you allow them to play Shax on the Tracer and kind of starts to pop off a little bit at a time, give you some problems. Maybe this wasn't the call here. But I also think, too, we'd be talking about this half for Paris completely different if they didn't really kind of flub that one opportunity, right? I mean, they have an opportunity to set a better time almost than the Valiant, but they just kind of blow a huge combo with EMP. Nano Blade gets, what, 1 kill?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give, like, the Valiant spread so well for that. Like, the way, next time we get to see them on the point defending, notice how they set up, right? Like, you mentioned that the Dreamer was sort of left on the point in, like, a safe corner to bait, and the rest of the Valiant were distributed around the edges, right? So it's not like you can, it's pretty hard to get everyone caught inside one EMP, and you're not going to grab EMP. That just doesn't happen. So you don't really have any way to force all 6 to stand in it. So what do? Then you try and get one key target with an EMP. Bob, I would not say is the target you're really trying to EMP, but the fact that Sparkle can't find a target that he can actually kill is what really turns that off for the Eternal.
But where the Eternal can kind of turn this around, though, is that if they're able to get point A and not expend many ultimates, that is so frustrating. If they're able to take point A and not expend many ultimates, you can have that Nano Blade EMP combination for point B and take both checkpoints here. That's certainly a situation that can happen.
From KSP there just sets up with these teams halt, and I mean, Empty God goes down first, but you see that No Smite doesn't really last much longer either. Durability is a serious problem here for the Paris Eternal. The Valiant are playing a safe, high percentage composition with lots of redundancy built in. You have extra shields, extra heals. You have crowd control, self-peel for your DPS. The Eternal strategy is get Winston bubble, get him in there, and then get hacks. Hack someone, let Sparkle dash through, play for a big shock and awe ultimate combo with your EMP Blade Nano Boost.
This is dangerous for Paris. This is like the worst case scenario you thought when you came into this series, that like they would play Shax on the Tracer and like him and KSP would really start to pop off on the Ashe and Tracer combo. Biotic Grenade trying to keep No Smite alive, not able to do so, but this looks like it's going to be the Valiant being able to get a first point hold, but Hanbin gets nanoed and he's got 100 charge.
He's mental. I don't think before this fight you think that nano was meant for Hanbin at all. That's like an adaptation on the fly from Fielder to realize, okay, we need a source of damage here. We need to win now, and Hanbin comes up with the goods.
Well, it looked good, right? The Valiant, they had gotten that early pickoff. They were pushing them back, and then that nano on the Hanbin fully charged just changes everything. And now you'll have Grav EMP Blade for this next fight with a rally.
Paris Eternal have only 20 seconds here to finish the map, but they have the exact ultimates they need to do it. The Valiant have plenty as well, though. Let's not count them out. They have Immortality, they have Gravitic Flux, they have Rally to work with, a Bob, and a Supercharger. But it's going to be now or never. 7 seconds remain. The Paris Eternal need to at least attempt this. Rally pop by Empty. God, no spike goes to the high ground. That EMP connects with 3. Dreamer, Shax, and Rain shut down. The Tracer of Shax can't blink around the map right now, but against Sparkle, he's shadow boxing with the Blade. Can't find a target. And now the Valiant had to step back into this fight. The Graviton Surge from Harbin gets a target, but it's not enough. Only one player caught inside that one, and McGravy steps up here. The Valiant shut the Eternal out on point B.
McGravy talking to Sparkle in the chat as McGravy was high up in the air, using that Gravitic Flux, and Sparkle just swinging at him. Wasn't able to finish him off. So Valiant get a hold there on B. The win condition is set. They got to take point A. They got to get a tick on point B here. The one thing that's going to work against the Valiant is that in Paris, you have these like big combo ultimates that can win you fights. I don't want to say easily, but relatively easily, right? A Nano Blade, EMP, Grav, like a Rally. Any combination of those is like a fight win. You don't really have that with the comp the Valiant's playing. Let's take a look at this.
Sparkle. I mean, leapfrog. Peace! I'm going to the moon. You have gravity? Nope. Just ninja legs. Latest, nerd.
Oh, he is so weak. That would have been a great. That would have been a. To be fair to Sparkle, he gets that kill. It is fight changing because McGrady gets a kill off the back of that Gravitic Flux and gets a player weak as well.
Well, it's not just that. It just puts Paris in a weird spot, right? They get dumped on the ground. McGravy ends up turning that fight around in a huge way.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's kind of crazy, right? Because you don't have to use the second part of Gravitic Flux straight away. You use the first part for mobility. We see a bunch of players use the first part to like get up onto high ground before using the Flux itself. Pretty clever. Nice job by McGravy there. And the Valiant are way ahead now. So let's see. Again, it's this Winston Zarya defense from the Eternal. For whatever reason, Paris are not interested in going and playing something, I'm using air quotes here, safer with a double shield.
Well, I think a lot of the Winston type of play, you really like it on offense. I think this is on defense is where you kind of miss Ben Best being able to play the Orisa. I mean, No Smite can play it as well.
So much Orisa in his time. I mean, fair enough. Paris Eternal here. They will defend a bit. It's a trade. So Sparkle gets rid of Rain. Okay, that is enough now getting rid of Lastro. Paris are able to stave off this first hit. And I think this Winston Zarya combo really starts to look good when they get rolling, right? Get a couple fights behind them. I mean, Primal sometimes can do an unbelievable amount of good for you when you're against a team that's based on sticking together.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is on the Winston picking the right spots and knowing how to kind of use the jump defensively to get out of harm's way. I know you're using different kind of angles to like just fall down from a high ground on top of a team, get a ton of damage, have the bubble come in and then being able to get out. So you see there's somebody playing around the corner. This will be a Blade.
Sparkle, okay. Defensive. Most of the damage is happening elsewhere, though. All eyes on Sparkle, while No Smite rips him limb from limb with that Primal Rage. Credit to Sparkle, because on King's Row, he was maybe less inclined to back away when he was in compromising scenarios as Genji, but that time, he plays his role perfectly.
Yeah. This is This is going to be one of the better chances for the Valiant. I don't want to say the best chance, but Supercharger, Bob, Pulse Bomb, Amp Matrix Rally, really everything but your Gravitic Flux here. The scary part is they need to save some of these, though. If they don't have any of these for the next point, they're going to be in trouble even taking point B.
Okay, so Immortality, Amp Matrix forces positioning from the Eternal here. The Valiant move, I mean, Los Angeles, they have so much. The Eternal no! Harbin finds Shax! Look at the Eternal, they disengage briefly for just a moment. They bait that overcommitment from the Tracer. Harbin steps forward now, Rain's caught inside the Graviton Surge and gets hit with a binding grenade. The Immortality Field keeps him alive for a little while, but Harbin is 100 charge and he's ready to rock! The Valiant had everything they could have asked for in that fight, Matt. You just said words, 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 and they're calling for a pause because they are boomed.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what happened here with a pause in play. But the Paris Eternal will come back next fight, Mitch. They'll have a Nano Blade in a minute and 15 on the clock for the Valiant here. McGravy will have a Gravitic Flux. Shax will have a Pulse Bomb. But what looked like could have been a map win for the Valiant, which is huge for them because it kind of gives them an opportunity, really, down the wire to win this at the end. Could be one where Paris steals it.
And you can see, well, you can't see it. We can tell you that Sparkle's at about 78% ultimate right now and is about to farm McGravy's remaining life pool. So there could well be a Nano Blade for the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, there will be. 100. Yeah, there will be. I mean, he's 78, the dash and some extra damage in the beginning of the next fight. You'll 100% have a Nano Blade for this next fight.
Yeah.
It goes back to what I was talking about coming into this kind of half round in the overtime, is that the Valiant don't have any big game winning combinations in terms of ultimates. You're not going to play Genji. You're not going to play Ana. You don't have a Nano Blade. You don't have the Graviton Surge. You're not going to play Zarya. So you're really forced to win those neutral fights. And when you don't, this Winston Zarya combination with the Genji in play and Ana really starts to come out on top. You have to punish this comp early.
Bear in mind, one thing that is a little scary for Paris is that they do not have an Immortality field to answer McGravy's Gravitic Flux. That will be relevant in this next fight.
Yeah.
And we'll be jumping back in the game in just a moment. Remember, a minute 15 is on the clock here for the Valiant. They're going to get point A.
That's interesting. He had the Xe finish off that kill, so Sparkle doesn't get that ult charge.
Yeah, it was only about 100 HP.
Yeah, you'll be able to get the blade percentage up pretty quick. Lastro will go over and play Ana here. I wonder if this is a last-ditch effort to hit a sleep on the Genji coming through.
It could be, yeah. I mean, the Valiant, if they're tracking ults as well as I think they are,
have to know.
They know that that's the scariest thing for them right now. I mean, a big pulse bomb from Shax could just end this argument straight away. None of this will have mattered. Oh, he missed it. Oh, he missed it! Not ideal! And Shax goes down as a result, and here comes the Nano Blade from Sparkle. He'll get Lastro. Body Grenade gets applied to No Smite, but no one from the Valiant's really there to capitalize, and you saw Gravitic Flux as well from McGravy. And now the Valiant are bereft. They have nothing left, and they're walking into a primal rage.
This one's gonna sting for the Valiant. Shax trying to go around the outside. Is he going to have enough blinks to touch and get point? Looks like he will.
Yes.
Dreamer now on the ball, and KSP goes a Widow here at the end, maybe trying to make a play. So there's a touch from Shax. He'll be able to trigger OT.
Armin's low. Recall got forced there by Shax, so keep that in mind. He's 7 seconds away from being able to rewind once more. Overtime was triggered. The Wrecking Ball's there for Dreamer, and Primal from No Smite. I mean, against the Diva's not going to do too much. McGravy's just going to return to the fight.
KSP
but Dreamer's gone down. They get rid of Xe. Sparkle wants to chase KSP. This is a huge 1v1. KSP can't stay alive, and Sparkle doubles down. He saves the Paris Eternal just when it looked like their lights would be put out. Paris come from behind in a map that was otherwise very sloppy from them, but they look sharp as all heck in the last few moments. And the Valiant, that is a gut punch. Yeah. That is really going to hurt. They were so far ahead, and they end up losing the map. Look at them.
Yeah, you gotta feel that if the Valiant end up losing this series, they'll look back and it'll be lost on this map. This was the map they had an opportunity to win. They were looking good. They set a fantastic time. They had more time in their time bank. And their OT offense just not able to get anything going at all, man. That is a really brutal map for the Valiant. Paris bounces back in a big way in the second half.
Yeah, still... there's a lot of chance here for the Valiant to even things up. I actually think for 95% of that map, they looked the better team. It was when it counted, unfortunately, is when things fell apart for Los Angeles. And
true.
I mean, the Eternal get away with playing, a fair bit of that Sombra. You saw them switch around, and Harmon looked really good on the Zarya. I think that's a composition that lends itself, to having another nano target in your Zarya if they're charged up. Right. Such an unlikely way for the Eternal to win that fight on point A by nanoing the Xayah and having them go. So Paris are in the lead. It's first to 3 right now, so there's still a chance for the Valiant to force map number 5. We won't keep you waiting too long. Stick around and we'll be back with map number 4.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile.
If you come in now, after halftime, and maybe you just started, watching the broadcast, you maybe would have thought this is a reasonable scoreline, maybe to be expected. But Volskaya Industry went not as expected. I'll put it anything but expected was what I meant to say. It looked like it was going to be the Los Angeles Valiant to take that map away. They looked really solid. They were playing Marissa Sigma with great confidence, and they were shutting down a lot of this Xayah Winston play from the Eternal. And then when it goes to extra innings, and all of the Valiant really need to do is get that sort of 3 checkpoints plus 1 tick, it falls apart. They fail to take checkpoint A.
Yeah, having the Primal, Grav, Nanoblade, having those big ult combos really just paid off. I think we mentioned where the Valiant needed to win it is in those fights where everybody was kind of dry on ultimates. Nobody really had a lot to work with on either side. That's where their composition could have been advantageous against what the Paris Eternal were trying to run. But once Paris was able to get some ultimates and start cycling them off, that's when they really just gained control of the game completely.
Oh, of course, we have a substitution here for the Paris Eternal. No Smite out, Ben Best back in. So we maybe expect to see more of that Reinhardt play now. Our next map in the series is Havana, so you definitely expect to see double shield of some description here. And the Paris Eternal, this may be one of their best looks for that kind of composition. Well, we were singing the praises of Los Angeles after that first map. They played a bunch of Wrecking Ball, a bunch of sort of off-the-wall compositions that allowed them to win it. But now we see the Paris Eternal. They show us that other composition. What they've got. The double shield down, we know that. Then we see the Xayah Winston with the Sombra Genji. And while I don't think that Exi had a particularly good map, and it struggled a little bit on Sombra to make it, to make easy team fights happen with those EMPs, Paris showed that they could recover over the course of a map, and with a substituted player in, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, now you come back for Paris Eternal, you bring in Ben Best, so you probably want to run some more recent Reinhardt. You can play Reinhardt in the warehouse phase with a Lucio, close the gap, and start to play some of that brawl again.
That's what Paris like. I mean, they sneak a Reinhardt around a flank, try and trick them with Hanbin just standing there with a shield, being like, don't worry, guys, I am the main tank. Forget about the Rhine.
Yes, now we'll have Paris starting things off on defense. What do the Valiant decide to run? KSP and Shaxin again, so no KSF, so no real threat of like Genji up to the high ground. I don't think that you're going to see the Echo come into play. I think you'll probably see KSP switch to Ashe, and that'll be kind of their go-to comp here. I would not be surprised to see Paris Eternal try and play some Reinhardt on the second phase of the map, maybe more on an offensive setup than defense.
There's a ton of good pin opportunities as the map itself starts to curve back over on itself. Another pause here for the Paris Eternal. Yeah. Wasn't enough to keep us waiting earlier in the day. No. Want to do so now. So
we'll figure out what's going on with Paris as we had about like 5 seconds before the gate doors open. It looks like KSP was still on the Echo, but that's not. I can't see Echo being the pick here, especially with how long that first Streets phase is. You're not going to survive against Ashe or Widowmaker, so I expect some type of change from the Valiant once we start up again.
Yeah, and we might see Widow sort of disappear for Exi over that second phase of the map. Maybe switches back to it sort of for the last part of it. Spark was having monitor issues, so
it's always a problem.
Yeah, so we'll see. We can obviously see him there with obviously a member of the management behind him.
I was going to say, if we were on camera, I have a sock issue, as Hugo has come in with a sock, and he's staring me down with it.
Is it your sock?
I don't believe so, so I have not tried to get it from him.
Well, it wouldn't have been yours anymore anyway.
No.
Looks like I wouldn't brave those jaws to try and recover it.
Here, buddy. Oh, I got him. Where is the sock? Is it down there? Oh, he's not going to be happy with my face. It's Hugo's decided to wake up from his nap. Slept through the first game or two. He's good now. He's ready to go. So that's what it's really about, Mitch. It's really about the animals and who they predict and who they think will win.
Who does Hugo think's going to win?
Look, Hugo thinks lots of things, right? I don't think he has an opinion on this series thus far. He probably would have picked Paris, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder actually. Yeah, we do need to get him on a watch point prediction segment.
I love when we do the watch point desk, and sometimes Custa's cat just will walk directly in front of his. It just goes right in front of the screen, just barrels on through.
Yeah, he just turns up. Mine loves to headbutt my microphone, but you don't hear it because I've got a noise gate.
So KSP on the Widow. This is what we like to see now. Is the Widow on Widow matchup. Rain going with the Brig, and I think that's just an ultimate sign of respect for Sparkle, right? It's like you need to deal with that Genji that comes on in. KSP though,
he could be
headshot on
an
Exi. Oh yes, absolutely.
Right, so a lot of shield coverage there for the Eternal, but they are spread a fair bit, and each time a hold goes up, yep, you wait with bated breath for a shot like that to come through. Nice by KSP, and it should be a nice cleanup here for the Valiant. They get a couple key Widowmaker shots, and it all falls apart for Paris from there.
So, Paris, will you get another touch? You're not running like a Lucius, so it might be hard to get there. It looks like you're going to have one player near there, but you see the way that the Valiant are playing, they're pushing straight on forward, trying to deter another push coming in, and looks like Paris will give up point A, so Valiant, really good start here on Havana.
And you can just see how effective Orisa and Sigma respectively, but also together, are just creating space. If the Valiant don't want the Eternal to contest, they just walk into the doorway and go, all right, here's my shield, there's his. Which one do you want to try and get through? And wait for the cart to push across the line. So we'll see how they try and take control of the space inside here. It actually finds Rain, so just a moment where, Brig players aren't always going to be holding right click when they move around. He just doesn't have a shield up.
I gotta say, this is so difficult to play Widow in this scenario. One Widow is dealing with a Genji, one is dealing with a Tracer, and then, double shield, 3 shields for Exi with Rain in the mix. This has gotta be one of the hardest points to play Widow on, as you see why is Shax gets in, just one clips Exi.
Yeah, FD could have been pulse bombed there, but I like this from Shax. He waits it out. He realizes he doesn't need a pulse bomb with how low Ben Best was. The rest of the Valiant's tank line just sort of pushed up here, and Sparkle, I mean, respect him all you like, even the Brig's not enough to shut him down with the blade. KSP and Shax are both covering that angle. As soon as Sparkle peeks out, he realizes he may have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. But with Dreamer out of the picture, care of Fielder, that car ain't going anywhere for the time being.
Yeah, and he gets out alive as you see Shax there just trying to go put Fielder right there. How many other Zens in the league where you see a pop trance, right? Yep. Like, he goes down to 1 bar, confident enough. And No's team probably would have won the fight without him, but then also not to use that Transcendence.
And as a result, Paris holding onto these ultimates. Now they have a bunch to use in this fight. So they go for Amp Matrix, Gravitic Flux combo. Exi finds 2 as a result. Lastro tried to peek the corner and actually, I believe, get some use out of his own Amp Matrix, but he got shot in the head instantly by Exi.
Yeah, really nice positioning from the Amp Matrix from FD God. He's able to get his teammates are able to get a ton of damage down on through it. So that's what gets Paris the team fight win there. Now, see, this is where, if you were the Valiant, this is where you would love to be able to switch to like a Genji type of composition, right? Put a ton of pressure on the offensive side onto Exi, but when you see Exi on top of those drums there, nobody can access him.
Infra side does a lot for Exi. He doesn't kill the enemy Widowmaker, but he knows where KSP is, so it allows him to set up. So we can't be taken by surprise. Sparkle, seen that a couple times, haven't we? Go straight on in, and Exi finds KSP. They've lost Sparkle, though, still, the Eternal, who was close to a blade, and that Supercharger may have been intended to accompany it. Still, Ben Best tries to use it. That card's moving, though, and yeah, the Eternal are on the back foot. Oh my. That is... Oh my, Exi! Gets rid of 2 of the hardest targets to pick off as Widowmaker. And now he's in a very safe position, not just because there's no Tracer left to harass him. And this gives time for Ben Best to walk back up, put that Orisa shield down, hold mouse 1 for the boys.
But I think this is where, like I mentioned, this is where, you're not gonna, the Valiant aren't gonna run Genji. They've shown Winston Zarya type of look. So you can play the Widow and know you're gonna be pretty safe the entire time. Big play there from Shax, though. You're gonna take care of FD God. He falls at the hands of Exi again.
Exi's so sharp. Oh, there it is!
That is so clean.
Infrasight makes a big difference there. You could see that one coming, but getting rid of both DPS players and then immediately repositioning. Look at how low the shields are for the Valiant. They can't hide behind them forever.
I'm just impressed with how difficult the angles are here inside of this warehouse, that he has found this much value with the Widowmaker.
I feel like it's very hard to do if you miss your first shot as well. Yeah. It's so easy just to get away from it. All right, shield bash there from Rain to get out of the Gravitic Flux. FD got down, XC being harassed. Force recall. He's in trouble here, either way. Shaq's eventually going to run him down. Took him a while, though. What can Sparkle do with the time that's been bought by his Widowmaker? Hanbin is able to find both tanks here. So I don't know how the Valiant are expected to push the card at all now.
How many fights is that a row, Mitch, where the Valiant have gotten the first pick-off and they end up just losing in a fight that doesn't even feel like that close after all? I feel like they've gotten like FD God or Sparkle like first in a few of these fights inside this warehouse. They made no card progress.
Well, with Exi being nullified in that fight, it was Sparkle combining with Hanbin really well to secure the kill. The Gravitic Flux obviously coming earlier on definitely helped. Now what are we looking for here is Paris. You don't really have a ton to work with right now. Maybe Amp Matrix set up. But that's really just going to be a personal cooldown. Maybe you use it for your main tank as well. Ben Best gets to make use of the Amp Matrix, but look at his Exi. He's everywhere at once, constantly repositioning. The Valiant don't have time to check where he is every time they want to push out.
Widowmaker performance has been spectacular here on Havana, where I'm thinking about how fast the Valiant took point A and where we are right now. The Valiant coming in terms of ultimates, they're just going to have Rally and probably a Gravitic Flux. Maybe you'll end up getting an Amp Matrix here, but
they can't do anything.
An inch away.
Rain just stands there with his shield and hopes that Lastro stays behind him.
And they lose McGravy right away, so no chance at getting the Gravitic Flux. They even threw the Rally.
Los Angeles Valiant definitely impressing us over this series, just in terms of how they stood up to the Eternal, but they're now looking down the barrel of being kicked out here before the semis.
This series is much closer than the way it may appear to be. I think if you're an Eternal fan, like, you may get out of this alive, let's say, but you don't feel that great. Like, you would have expected to see them put together like a real standout, like, all-star performance against the Valiant. And the Valiant, to their credit, they're not playing, maybe not having like the optimal lineup to play some of these different types of compositions. They have played what they play well, and not good enough to really give Paris a run for their money.
The Eternal now, knowing what the rest of the bracket looks like, any sort of shakiness like this is, maybe plants the seeds of doubt. They have to go up against the Philadelphia Fusion. I mean, that match is going to be an absolute banger. But two teams with strengths that lie in very similar directions, right? Paris have to be squeaky clean to stop Philly, who are incredibly hungry and are finally feeling like they're really starting to run with full momentum.
And McGravy in the chat as MVP. Xe so many headshots, and Xe just goes vote for Xe. Please, McGravy. he's asking McGravy to vote for him. It's pretty funny. As
MVP shilling's already begun, Matthew.
Yeah.
I mean, look, 9 final blows, 7 of them have come from scoped critical hits. Only 3 deaths, so the Widowmaker's turning up in a big way. Okay. Xe and McGravy are trying to work out some sort of deal there. I'm not sure if that's above board, but that's fine.
Nobody saw it.
Nobody saw anything. That's right. I mean, you're from Long Island, Matt, right? Like, if no one sees it, it never happened.
Yeah, that's what they say in Brooklyn. Yeah, nobody saw it. Nothing happened.
Xe gonna play again, really tight angles. Like plays inside this this bar. It's getting picked up. That is insane.
But it's so hard for him to get like he has to be in that position to make an impact. But to play against like Zen Batiste, trying to go after a Widow as good as Xe, it is so much harder to do it as a Tracer than, let's say, a Genji, especially in this state, mind you. Like, this is the patch pre-Genji nerf, right?
Oh my!
So this is strong, like, where the Genji is still very strong. It's much easier to put that pressure on and live as a Genji player with, like, the dashes to get out, with the deflect, the verticality. It's much harder doing it as Tracer.
This is capitulation by the Los Angeles Valiant now, Matt. They are just... The bottom's falling out of the boat. What else do you say? 5 minutes, 11 seconds.
They should run the East Coast special here.
Yeah, that'd be a great way to go
bring
out
the
in style.
East Coast special.
Yes, I know there are a few people in my circle of friends that know how to trade dignity for clout and entertainment values, so they could do that as well. Somehow, I don't think they will. I think they have some pride. Okay. KSP now has to try and do what Xe did in that previous round. Like, get value out of these angles, constantly reposition, and honestly hit the first shot. I mean, as soon as he gives himself away, his opportunities to find these kills have become very slim. And Lastro couldn't even, stay alive long enough to be shot by KSP there, and KSP's able to get rid of Field.
And
Pass moving though.
Yeah, I was going to say, here comes the Blade. The halt actually brings him above where Sparkle was intending to swing. They'll take care of Dreamer as the cart getting very close to that box of victory.
Xe's 1v1ing Shax on the cart right now, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not moving. Currently still contested. All right, now that Ben Best returns, I think that Shax has to back away. Immediate Transcendence now, of course. For the Valiant are trying to keep their Countdown Cup hopes alive. They have to stay in this one for another 4 minutes, but with the Transcendence coming out from the Eternal a little bit later, that looks less and less likely by the second. McGravy stays alive. He knows the second part of his ultimate will get cancelled if he dies during channeling. And here comes a Gravitic Flux from the Eternal. Rain falls to the fall damage. Xe tries to find a peak, but for now, the Valiant stay alive.
Yeah, a lot used there by both teams, but the Gravitic Flux from McGravy, like he doesn't pop it right away because he's waiting for Fielder's Transcendence to wear off, and he gets it the right time. So now both teams essentially dry in terms of ultimates. You'll have Lastro probably get a Transcendence during this fight. But now it goes back to the Widows, right? Can one of these Widows get a early pick to start things off?
3 minutes and 7 seconds. That is the timer right now for the Valiant. Shax is doing the right thing, putting pressure, trying to flank around.
He has to be so
out his
careful,
healing
though.
resources. I mean, yeah, if he gets picked off, it's game over.
Like
Xe just gets a random headshot on him.
Well, he's got a Discord on him as well when he starts peeking around some of these corners.
Yeah, KSP's dead. Sparkle finds his way in. Rain Doesn't fare much better. I mean, sometimes just one individual map can turn a game around. Doesn't help that Shaxx lost his pulse bomb to a kinetic grasp either. It is the Valiant. They're limping now, and the Eternal just start to apply a little more pressure. And a Transcendence, again, credit to Lastro. I mean, he's getting those quite quickly, but it's not enough. And ultimately, the Eternal will cross the line and make their way into our semifinals.
And not easy, though. I think the Valiant deserve a lot of credit for making the series pretty close. As I think people thought that the Paris Eternal would come in here, just kind of run through the LA Valiant, but the LA Valiant, they win map number 1. I believe it was mentioned by the desk. That was the first time the Paris Eternal had lost Lijiang Tower. And also, they are very close to winning Volskaya. This is a series that could have easily have gone 5 games.
Yeah, and maybe they should have won Volskaya. I think that with the sheer weight of ultimates that they had there, I mean, I'd love to see sort of a breakdown of what went wrong and when in that fight, because if you want to talk about resources, the Valiant had everything that they really needed, and they had plenty of time. I mean, you just really have to praise the fortitude, I think, of the Paris Eternal to hang on at such a crucial moment. And then when we get to Havana, you know, they play such an unconventional style with this roaming Widowmaker in an otherwise very close quarters part of the map, where you kind of think that, well, not only is it hard to find shots, but it's also not very safe. Like, an enemy Genji or Tracer can just round a corner and all of a sudden you're trapped in this small corridor. The fact that Exi gets away with that and then starts to excel in his role that's really what broke the Valiant.
Yeah, and I think Exi really just started to turn up on the Widowmaker on Havana. I think him, Hanbin were tremendous this series. I am very interested to see how that Paris match tomorrow goes against the Philly Fusion. I know a rematch from the finals of the last cup. The Phillies looked so strong, Mitch, where I think Paris today, I just expected a little bit more, to be honest.
Maybe, but well, I think I said that at the start of this series, right? Many people would expect that if Paris are going to contend in the semifinals, this would be more one-sided, right? That's not counting, of course, the fact that the Valiant sort of step up and make a big difference when it counts in that first map by showing us Dreamers, Wrecking Ball, Farah, Echo, whatever. They have a really deep hero pool. Unfortunately, right now, what we're seeing, without hero pools applied, there is 1 or 2 compositions that teams will always err towards because of their safety.
Yeah. I think, though, with what Paris played on Volskaya, we've seen that in APAC. I think that'll be a composition that we could see a decent amount tomorrow in tomorrow's games with the Winston in play with Azaria. It seems to be pretty effective, when you play like a Sombra Genji in the mix, and you see why it's so effective, because you have these big game-changing ultimates that you can come in and just use one ultimate, destroy the other team. They're all clumped up together. You're able to really take advantage of the game. So I would not be surprised to see teams start pulling that out a little bit more tomorrow and, of course, in the final.
And of course, we have an opportunity now to honor the most impressive player in this series. Our player of the match presented by Xfinity is probably not a huge shock to everybody. We kind of give it to him every week. But once again, Hanbin over the course of this series, where many players waxed and waned, was the top performer. I think, for the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, you look at some of the biggest moments of the series. Hanbin being able to stay alive on Volskaya numerous times in the Zarya. Big high energy, able to pick up kills. The grabs onto certain players. I remember the one onto Rain. It was like a solo grab, but still was huge at the time to get him out of the fight. I think just Hanbin's ability to play the Zarya, D.Va, Sigma, they never have to move him around. You see how Paris Eternal kind of juggles a lot of the other players around on the roster, whether it be Ben Best or No Smite. The damage dealers all rotating in and out. Hanbin and the supports are the rock of this team, and I thought he was great today.
Yeah, I mean, nearing sort of DPS levels of final blows per 10 minutes there. Also, again, as the setup with the accretions looked really good. I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw when he just nailed Shaxx with an accretion there on Havana towards the end, while you were actually trying to talk about something important. But that's the kind of exciting play that top Sigma players can sort of deliver us when they're really on point. Because there's a delay, there's a distinct delay with accretion, right? When the animation begins as to when it sort of gets thrown out. You see people make a flick at the last second to adjust the trajectory of the rock. Sounds simple, it's not. Top players like Hanbin are able to do that on a regular basis, and I mean, being able to turn those accretion stuns into kills, which I believe is something that we've celebrated Harbin and Choihoben specifically for in the past, that is a game changer when you're dealing with Genjis and Traces and all the rest. And Los Angeles Valiant have given their vote to Exi for the OWL MVP. Good sports they are.
Nice, yeah. I mean, look, he played like an MVP today. When we saw him in the game, right, he wasn't in map number 1, but every other time we saw Exi really just controlling the game in terms of hit scan, with whether it be the Ashe, the Widow.
I think that if he is going to play Sombra in that Sombra Genji Winston Zaya setup, he will need to pop off a little more. I mean, like, you're not supposed to be a solo killer as that Sombra, right? But I think the Valiant made it really hard for Exi to have impact. Let's have a look at our bracket now. Semi-finals are set tomorrow, August 9th. If you don't use a calendar, we have some blockbusters. The Florida Mayhem versus the San Francisco Shock, a rivalry there that continues to get rekindled with each of our monthly tournaments. And then the Philadelphia Fusion and the Paris Eternal. I would say 2 of the most obnoxious and loud fan bases have their teams go head-to-head tomorrow. The YouTube chat is filled with MVP Carpe, MVP Exi all the way, and these 2 fan bases finally get to settle this latest round of grievances in that matchup. Matt, we're going to be there tomorrow, bright and early, and I cannot wait to see who comes out of those 2 matches. You know, I would say that it would be potentially more exciting than the grand final, but then I have to realize that we could have like a Shock Eternal, you know, a grand final sort of setup. There is no bad combination of teams to come out of the semis tomorrow.
No, not at all. I think we clearly have the best teams in North America. No upsets going at it tomorrow. I think when you look at the matches, I've really liked Philly throughout the Countdown Cup. I know Custa picked Philly. I picked Philly as well. I don't think I've seen anything that really wants me to move off of that. I think what Philly is able to do with like a lot of their damage dealers, and I think specifically seeing Sato back on the Winston, like Sato back on the Winston, Poco
Fury
being able to,
Fury.
Poco or Fury able to play some Zarya in the mix. You have Alarm, and what they've been doing with like rotating around, like I know they want to play some Sombra Genji. You kind of have like an Ivy Hisu setup. You can bring Carpe in to play what Carpe is the best at, right? Like your McCrees, your Ashe, your Widowmakers. The Philly has it all right now. I really like the Fusion, but when you say that, there's also like a really strong case to be made for a lot of these teams. I thought the Florida Mayhem were really impressive today against the Atlanta Reign. I think that series with the Shock is going to be very, very good.
And what kind of foot do San Francisco put forward now, right? They can joke around as much as they like, you know, in the matches up until this point, but we know how annoyed they were in the past of not being able to make it into the final, you know, of that cup. So they want to be in the conversation, or at least, in fact, they don't want there to be the conversation. They want to be the undisputed top team in North America. In order to do so, they have to completely smash Florida tomorrow and then have a very dominant grand final performance. So each one of these teams is absolutely gunning for the cup. I can't wait to see how that goes. But for now, we have ourselves an interview with Exi.
Much, Mitch. Yes, it's me here, Jonathan. I'm here with XC as well as Avala, translating for the Paris Eternal. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hello.
First question, of course, XC. Nice match today against the Los Angeles Valiant. Obviously, they fought back. Pretty hard match. What did you think of your own performance in this match?
오늘 팀의 경기에 대해서 본인의 경기력에 대해서 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
일단 오늘 저희가 경기가 올 두 번째 경기에서 제일 마지막 경기로 미뤄졌는데 그것 때문에 방금 했던 경기에 좀 집중력이 조금 떨어진 상태로 경기를 했고 좀 많이 피곤한 상태로 경기를 해서 저희가 오늘 막 저희의 그 힘을 100% 다 보여주진 않은 것 같습니다.
So we were supposed to play second today, but because of our prior edge, we were playing on the last match. We were tired, we lost concentration, so we weren't able to perform 100% to what we could have done.
Yeah, so that was actually my second question I wanted to ask you, because you did have that very interesting situation where you had the power outage, of course, and you had to swap the matches. You said that affected your performance at all. How did you rally back together? How did you prepare for this match with that unfortunate circumstance in mind?
그 정전이 나서 말씀하셨던 것처럼 연습도 잘 못하고 고생을 했는데 이게 팀에 어떠한 영향을 미쳤고 어떻게 그 정전에 대한 문제점들을 극복할 수 있으셨나요?
일단 저희한테 제일 큰 영향이 일단 저희가 원래 두 번째 경기인 줄 알고 일찍부터 이제 준비를 하고 했었는데 경기가 이제 맨 마지막으로 미뤄지다 보니까 집중력이 많이 흐려진 게 크고 이제 원래 저희가 이제 스크림을 한 타임을 하고 이제 경기를 뛰어야 되는데 연습도 못한 상태에서 경기를 해가지고 지금 좀 오늘 조금 힘들었습니다 경기 때.
So X is saying the biggest factor was we had to wake up early because we had a second match. We were supposed to play second, but because we played last, it was very tiring because we had to stay awake for such a long time. And also we usually do one warm-up scrim before we go into our matches, but because of the power outage, we couldn't get any practice at all. So that really affected him the most.
Yeah, well, you did actually warm up in the match and it looked really good towards the end. And with that performance in mind, you now get to play the Philadelphia Fusion tomorrow in the semifinals in a Summer Showdown rematch. Now, the Philadelphia Fusion have been improving a bit. What do you respect about the Philadelphia Fusion given their past few matches?
이제 내일 퓨전이랑 준결승전을 하게 되는데 필라델피아 퓨전의 강점이 무엇이라고 생각하시나요?
퓨전의 강점은 일단 카르페 선수랑 알람 선수라고 저는 일단 생각을 하고 카르페 선수는 워낙 지금 제가 생각하기에는 지금 애쉬를 가장 잘하는 선수라고 생각을 하고 이제 알람 선수는 저희 팀 스파클 선수가 겐지를 다루는 선수인데 알람 선수의 브리기테가 겐지 마킹 같은 거를 잘하는 선수다 보니까 저랑 영환이 둘 다 조금 힘든 경기가 될 것 같아요. 네.
So Philadelphia Fusion, the strongest part about them are Carpe and Alarm. Carpe, he thinks is the best Ashe in the Overwatch League right now, so he's gonna have a hard time against him. And Alarm, he has a very good brick which will control Sparkle and minimize him a little bit. So he thinks that tomorrow match is actually gonna be a hard matchup because both him and Sparkle will be able to do less than what they can usually do.
Well, I hope it's going to be very entertaining at least. And it's funny you bring up a Carpe and Alarm because of course both of them are nominated for our T-Mobile 2020 Overwatch League MVP award. But so are you. So give me your thoughts on that. What does it feel like to be nominated? What does it mean to you to be nominated for the MVP award this year?
2020년 T-Mobile MVP 후보로 선정이 되셨어요. MVP 후보로 선정이 된 소감이 어떠하신가요?
솔직히 제가 이제 시즌 도중에 아파서 잠시 치료를 받으러 한국으로 한 2개월 정도 그것 때문에 대회를 뛰지 못했는데 그럼에도 불구하고 제가 MVP 후보로 당선이 돼서 이제 솔직히 저도 MVP가 될 줄 몰랐고요. 이제 MVP가 일단 되기 위해서 남은 경기 더 열심히 하고 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
So during the season, he was sick for a bit, so he had to go back to Korea for 2 months. And he was very surprised that he was nominated to be for T-Mobile MVP. He is very happy and he is very honored, and he will try his best in the rest of the games coming up for him to be nominated for the MVP.
Well, there you have it. But truly an MVP performance from you today in today's match. So congratulations on your win. But that's going to be it for today's matches in the Overwatch League. Of course, we have the conclusion tomorrow with the semifinals and the final. But we start a little bit earlier, okay? So we start at 9:30 a.m. PST, so 2 hours before. But if you cannot wait until then, we of course have the APAC region finishing their bracket as well in the Countdown Cup. And that starts at 1 a.m. PST. Avala, Exi, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see everyone, all of you, tomorrow for the conclusion of the Countdown Cup. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.